Hi, friends. My name is host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People, but more importantly, I'm somebody who just spent some time watching the DNC, the Democratic National Convention. If you want to scoot over some, Rachel.
Please.
Victoria. There, come on, scoot all the way up in here.
Aww.
We'll get a little bit of this, it's fine. Let's meow a bit. Now lean back. Well, that's fine. So, just watching some of the Democratic National Convention, and boy, they are engaged in what I would call obvious political suicide. Let's try turning the lights off and see what happens. Is that better?
Better.
It's actually, well, it's fine.
It's better.
Yeah, let me see if I turn this off too. Let's see if I can adjust here. Alright, that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, today we're talking politics a bit this evening, specifically about the DNC. We just watched some of it, and I am shocked by just how little care they seem to have about appealing to a broad swath of the population. It's extremely leftist rhetoric across the board. A bunch of identity politics stuff and a bunch of Black Lives Matter stuff, and there's a certain smugness behind the Democratic National Convention that suggests they feel as though they've won this one side blames the other side game. Well, the fact is, the country will never be served by picking one of these sides that keeps blaming each other.
No.
You need to have somebody who transcends that stuff, and that's me. So, anyhow, obviously Kamala Harris is who they are trying to put as their presidential candidate without really saying it. They don't mean that they're really applying. They really want you to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
Biden is minorly featured in this whole thing,
Very
right? It's
minorly.
all about the women of color and yada yada yada. Is the stream on mute? I don't think so.
It shouldn't be. Oh, it might be all the way down.
No, it's not. It's fine. Levels are good.
Oh. Maybe it's just
They are a
you.
little quiet. So the thing is, it's mostly sort of produced appeals to emotion and appeals to like a certain worldview, without any meaningful
Does PP want to get in?
commentary about anything, really. So, there's this thing about climate change, how Biden's going to invest in new green energy to make sure that new jobs come about because of this, these efforts we're making towards climate change, yada, yada, yada. That stuff is not a real plan. It's not even remotely, a response to reality. It's just a soundbite that's not a meaningful approach to anything, right? Now, one of the things that I have to walk away from today's earlier video realizing is one of the benefits of it is I get to see the manner in which people object anyway, right? So I got a fair amount of doubt about my prospective plan there as part of my platform. some of it from TI people saying we shouldn't federalize this. Well, I've actually already considered this possible critique and said you could do a compact of states as well, but that wouldn't be something that the president would have jurisdiction over. I've heard the people talking about the jurisdictional limits of the presidency and so forth. The thing is, for those TI people, what they need to remember is I'm on their side. I'm one of them anyway. Let's put it that way. I'm one of them, but I'm not going to be an ideologue, which means I understand that in the status quo, the federal government has exceeded the scope of its constitutional limits, and I understand that a principled response to that, and so forth, is to adhere to those constraints and so forth. But this is what I'm saying, is that's exactly the sort of thing we need to jettison. This attachment to our dogmatic certainty about our ideology and recognition that we don't operate in a world where we're operating on a blank slate. So we need to be realistic. Is there possibly a good way to federalize that doesn't exceed a federal constraints? Well, that would be the compact for the states, and it's something certainly we could talk about. But what I'm looking to do is turn those people who are immediately negationary in that fashion because they are critiquing some prescribed policy against their ideal. I'd like to turn those people into people who recognize the fact that I'm making an effort that's very challenging in general to make and that almost nobody can ever make, which is I understand the importance of principled constraint. And additionally, I recognize the limits of that constraint within the realm of this office. So, it's a meta-rational thing. Look, as far as I can tell, it's pretty much impossible for you to pick the right person at a super young age, Cloud, because both people are going to grow so much and change, and if you do, even if you get like some sort of ideal partner at a young age, because you haven't had enough experience with the alternative, you'll grow to doubt that probably and end up ruining it.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'll clean the carpets and I'll do some more laundry. It'll be a pleasure.
Cool. So well, I don't doubt that you've experienced a great deal in your 20 years, Cloud. But regardless of how much you've experienced in your 20 years, it still comprises 20 years of experience. Okay? So you might say you have the richest, most chewiest experience in 20 years that anybody's ever had. It's still not going to comprise anything close to the amount of experience that one can acquire in 40 years or 50 years, You think Hitler was an ENTP and not an INFJ? Okay, well, I think it was an ENFJ, so. I don't think he was an INFJ. I think he was an ENFJ.
Can we tell everyone how now I'm an ESTP?
Oh, Rachel took the new 16 personalities test that supposedly is built on cognitive functions. She got ESTP as a result. I don't think Rachel's an ESTP.
No, I'm not an ESTP.
Yeah, there's very little ESTP-ish about her.
Yes, just because I scored, I was most confident in my SE answers doesn't make the person SE. That's what it was going by.
You think he's dead, Hitler? You're fooling yourself, buddy. You're not aware of the real conspiracy. His head is frozen somewhere, and they're going to reattach it to a strapping young German man's body, and he'll be reborn as the new and improved Hitler. Thanks, darling. ENFJ are very clever, and Hitler was a puppet. Hitler was a puppet of whom? Who was the puppet master? Wow.
Maybe that's who he, like, that's what they referenced in the Sound of Music. They had puppets in that, and it took place during World War II.
Oh, Hitler's a DEAD and DEAD. That's personality type. Good point.
That's news to me.
If you freeze someone's head after they're dead and reattach it to a body later, you can go from being dead to returning to life as a hater.
Good rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
Facepalm.
You think Hitler wished he could be a software company mogul?
Nowadays, no.
I'm pretty sure, Cloud, that Hitler never expressed any desire to be a software company mogul. For Mecha Hitler, who's Mecha Hitler? ENFJs have too many morals? Yeah, you know. Don't ENTPs have too many morals too? We've got morals. I'm a morally moral fan.
Yeah, too. It's the penis of justice. Penis of justice.
Software company mogul. Eric, don't you ever doubt your bubbles of perception? Not sure what that means.
What's that?
Cloud. Your background reminds me of Southern Baptist barbecue. Well, it's my America background, you know.
Yep. From Sacramento. At train station.
Mm-hmm.
In America.
Mm-hmm. I mean, where might one go searching for ISTJs? You know, places where people are fixing things. The DMV is a good place, yeah. Like people working at the DMV, the post office probably employs a fair amount of ISTJs. You know.
Yeah. So, if anyone on here has Netflix, I would like to endorse a movie. Can we endorse it?
Yeah, I endorse it in full.
It's called Always Be My Maybe. I believe the writer comedian is Amy Tong, but I'm not really good with names, so I don't remember. I know her as comedian. She's really good in it. And the dad from no movies. It's on
Keanu
Netflix.
Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is in it too.
Keanu Reeves is great in it.
He's so good. The dad from Fresh Off the Boat is in it. He's really good too. It has a nice ending, so I recommend it. We recommend it for.
ESTP, ENTP dynamic between the two of us is pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Now that we know she's ESTP, you know, I'm sure we'll go do a lot more stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna drag him places. Yep, that's it. Thanks, Winston's mom.
It's a very good movie. The scene where the main guy, he's crushing on this girl who's like famous, right? But who he knows from being a teenager and growing up and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's crushing on her, and he's about to tell her like how he feels when she says, "Oh my God, I met the most amazing guy yesterday, and it was just the sex was amazing and blah blah blah." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can double date," because he's seen someone sort of at the time, right? So they double date, but he's really interested in the main lady.
Yeah, he finally decides to express his feelings to the main lady.
So anyway, they're gonna go out to dinner, and he's gonna meet this incredible new guy. And as they're sitting at the table waiting for him, he comes in, and it's Keanu Reeves playing Keanu Reeves, you know. And the scene where the guy is just like, "This is what I gotta compete against."
Yeah,
Oh my
it's so
God.
real. So real.
Yeah. His face, his expression of just being like, "Oh." He's so unhappy to see Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I mean, I would be too. It's good scene. It's really, really good scene.
Yeah.
This. Actually, even the scene after that, like, where they fight, it's very funny.
Yeah, it is.
He's good in it.
I'm too mellow. I am actually rather tired this evening. I don't expect this to be particularly long. Clown. I don't expect this to be a particularly long live stream because I am
Do you
rather
like that?
tired.
Do you like that, Cloud? See how much SE you're doing?
I just wanted to comment on this Democratic National Convention. Why would these people be so pushing towards identity politics and all the super left stuff and what have you, knowing it's going to alienate everybody between the coasts? It's crazy.
It's not right.
Yeah, it's the movie where Keanu takes him to an overpriced restaurant, correct?
Yes. Recommended.
Eric, how are you running for president? You're getting old. I mean, I'm not nearly as old as Trump or Biden. Okay, fine. I agree, Claude.
Right, me too.
That justifies it. Kamala Harris equals
Wow.
Stalin. That's quite a stern response to her.
I think the more...
Today, Cloud, right now, not in general.
I think the more... She's pushy. I think the word to call Kamala Harris is pushy. When she would... when I'm a part of MoveOn.com, and you can, like, donate to causes through there, and, like, politicians and celebrities will use MoveOn's email to say, like, hey, like, we're collecting money for this cause, please donate some money. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But Kamala Harris would send multiple emails out in a short span of time, and I was just like, you are so annoying, I'm not going to help your cause even if I do agree with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. The Democratic National Convention, the first speech of it, paid lip service to civility, but positioned it as the sole possession of the left, and that the right is somehow incapable of engaging in civil discourse. That engaging in civility means rejecting the right and becoming a bunch of leftist identity politics weirdos. And no, that's not going to happen. So, you know, the thing is, Biden is shuffled to the very background of this. From all I can tell, he's basically not mentally there all the way.
No, he's not. That's the next thing I was going to bring up, too.
Yeah, he just isn't.
It's unfortunate. I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh at it because it's funny because he's paralyzed or, like, aging. I'm laughing because it's true. Like...
Robin Farage has it right. Biden's a Trojan horse for Kamala Harris.
Uh-huh.
You know. And,
hang in here.
I mean, I don't think he's going to win as a consequence because I don't think he's going to be able to pass anybody's even casual scrutiny. It's going to be pretty obvious that he's mentally incapacitated to some extent. So, that means we get Trump again, which I actually would say, is preferable to Kamala Harris plus a demented Biden.
Oh my God.
But I would say take the third alternative, the only real alternative, which is write me in.
Yeah. That is still an alternative.
That is the right choice, emailed Anthrax. Every day I'm going to be making one of these videos. No, he laid the foundation for NE and TI to flesh out. Then TE will step in and prove TI right. That's the order of operations. He brought the NI whole. NETI, it makes it serious instead of just metaphor. And then TE makes it legitimate on empirics grounds. Makes it definitive, I guess, ultimately.
Ravenous Rosh is funny.
No, Jung does have TI, I agree. But what I'm saying is he didn't use TI in his writings of personality types primarily. He used NI and FE, and it's talking about archetypes and collective unconscious, stuff like that. Those are very NI ideas. In other words, he had TI. That doesn't mean that his system validated on TI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It wasn't his tool function. So obviously, he's not going to be equipped to do a full blast TI parsing of the thing. And that's fine. It's unreasonable to expect him to.
And I completely agree with you. His TI wasn't fleshed out, but it is evident.
Right. So I'm just saying, the only place we maybe disagree on it here is I'm pointing out there needs to be a completion of the TI work before TE gets involved and empirically establishes what we know and believe because of plenty of anecdotal experience and evidence,
yeah, and I think that, like, the way INFJ TI is so different. Like, so I did this new MBTI 16 personalities test that's supposed to be done on the cognitive functions, and I got ESTP. Well, running Fox, who I believe is an INFJ, if not an INFJ and ENTP, she got INTP, and that's because she agrees a lot with TI. So the thing is, like, in INFJs, it really does vary, and I grew up with an INFP father, so I didn't really work on my TI too much as a kid. Like, I would SEFE more because that's what I was accustomed to. That's who I, like, hung around.
Because your mom ignored TI and your dad was polar TI, which means your approaches with TI made very little impact in general.
Yeah. That's why I think now, looking back during the video, it seemed like to me the TI questions were like trick questions because I hadn't had to think like that since high school, so.
Do ESFJs assault people? Not usually. I mean, do you think Biden's an assaulter? I mean, I think he's just old school, kind of handsy.
Yeah, he is.
And kind of innocently handsy.
Yes.
I just don't see him as. I think he's not smart enough in some sense to be a player like that.
I'm not an FE Dom. Am I an FJ?
Who said that? You're an FE Dom.
Inga Jensen. That's the old typing.
No, I think she's talking about Biden.
My bad.
I think Biden seems like an ESFJ, but not anymore. He seems like somebody who's mentally diminished. But
yeah, it's oh my god, I can't talk about it. I'll be back. I will be back.
Okay, well, Ravenous Roush, I don't know if you've heard, but this kind of eliminates that whole line of reasoning. But, I've made it clear that Lil B can have none of my bitches. 0.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of wins the argument. So,
Yeah. It does.
you know, you can unbase your god now because Eric just kicked his ass.
Yeah.
That's how I roll. Lil B ain't got nothing on me.
Look at that. Look at that. She doesn't stand. He's an independent thinking man.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I actually don't think that we'd have, if we had a dog, I don't think we'd have problems with it because the dogs that I would want on a leash, like to take on walks, would be big dogs. Because I don't want them to attack other dogs.
It's a good expression, Cloud. I would totally agree with you about Nietzsche. People like him should stop thinking deeply and start thinking clearly. Couldn't agree with you more. That's not good deep thinking, Nietzsche. You know, it's foolish INTJ-ery. You think Nietzsche was an ISFP? Nah. I think he was an INTJ. Look, there's only one reason philosophers go insane. It's because they're wrong. It's what drives them insane. They can't tolerate their wrongness. That's why I'm so sane as a philosopher.
I should put a nose ring right there.
Here,
Yeah.
I'll pass. Thank you for the suggestion.
I'm not gonna get one either.
Oh, I see. Well, thanks, Dr. Cloud. Thanks for your diagnosis.
Dr. Cloud.
Dr. Cloud corrects everyone again. It would be a good name for your show, Cloud.
Yeah.
What type is Queen's Gambit? Ooh.
It's a good question.
You know, I haven't watched him enough to say for sure, but I would probably say ISFJ. I mean ISFP, or possibly ESTJ. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of him. He's not an INFJ, that's for sure. Is he unbalanced? Well, I don't know. He's not comfortable. Let's put it that way, right? He's not sure of who he is and what his value or worth is ultimately. And that tends to make people very demonstratively adversarial. Like, the thing is, you might say, well, Eric, you get very adversarial. Well, yeah, in appropriate context. But I'm willing to always tone down the adversarialness to the extent that both parties are being reasonable, you know? I'm always able to be reasonable. But, you know, I've only watched enough of him to know sort of a couple things he's not, for sure. I've not been interested in him at all. What did that say? Free Kamala Harris sticker?
See? I told you. a joke.
I mean, what are my general thoughts on group stalker apps like Citizen and Neighborhood Watch Facebook groups? I would say my position on it is that people should be able to talk about their community and be nosy neighbors if they want to be, really. And if the internet facilitates them, that's fine. I do think that some people will ultimately end up that, there'll be a lot of conflicts over what qualifies as worth meowing,
Can I meow this?
Sure.
Oh no, you can't see it, or can you?
No, they don't see this.
It's Kamala Harris email. Literally, like, just got it.
What I would say, Ravenous Roush, is that's exactly what you don't want, is a Vermin Supreme sticker. See, the thing is, I find Vermin Supreme very frustrating because he's taking an expert intuition approach that is saying it's sufficient to be absurd about the political process and pretend to run for president, stuff like that. Of course, I've had people make comparisons between me and him. There's absolutely no comparison whatsoever. I'm a serious political thinker. I'm an actual statesman. Politicians argue positions and argue sides. Statesmen bring real solutions and bridge divides. And that's what I intend to do. When it comes to our citizen democracy, more or less, yeah. It's like, let's take this thing seriously.
My phone is fine. It's the green screen.
I know, Ravenous Roush. I know. But I find him frustrating in that he sort of undermines the legitimacy of a citizen genuinely running for office, winning office, and being the correct choice for the country without promising a free pony or whatever. I mean, Biden is not obviously fit to be president, and Trump's not fit to be president, and Kamala Harris sure as hell's not fit to be president. Hey, no audio? Other people can hear me.
Did I do something?
No.
I might have.
No, we're good.
Okay, good.
I can see the audio levels right there. A word salad is a sign of schizophrenia. Not surprised. Well, I'm not sure what the point is here. I'm not engaged in word salad. I would agree that there is such a thing as word salad, and I oppose it. I believe in using language to actually clarify what we mean and to draw a distinction between that which we mean and that which we don't mean. Yeah, Biden has dementia. I agree. Biden has dementia, and he's not fit to be president. The Democratic National Convention is an insane cringe party of wrong-mindedness if you're trying to market to the general population. If you're just appealing to your base, fine. I'm sure all of the lesbians and people of color and other identity politics freaks that are in the urban centers and colleges and stuff are loving it. But that is not going to win any Democrat any election. I mean, Trump's going to win. The way the Democrats are playing this shit, Trump's going to win. You don't go that left and expect to win anywhere between the coasts. Or, anywhere where people have things between their ears either, It's insane.
I can't. like, not think about it and not laugh. Like, I can't believe it.
Talk about just drop kicking an opportunity into the dumpster. The Democrats had this thing in the palm of their hand. All they had to do was field a semi-qualified candidate and move away from the socialist extremists ideologues.
Uncle Joe. Yeah, that's what they call him in memes. That's like, he is of another era.
It's cruel to him what's going on.
It
here,
is.
you know?
It's not fair. He's Biden is wiped out. The Democratic Socialist Party threw him a surprise, you get our vote, and he was so startled that he could have gotten a heart attack. It was really like that.
That wasn't really the Democratic Socialist Party.
Oh.
That was commentary on the thing by the commentator.
Oh my god. Well, some party did.
No, it was just the Democratic.
Oh, the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he called them the Democratic Socialist Party because he wanted to make a point that they were so socialist.
Oh, well, he definitely did make a point. It passed over my head, of course.
Does he even know he's running for president is a good question.
I don't know. Did anyone else get his YouTube, commercials? I got some of his, YouTube commercials, and they were a joke. It was very hard for me not to say anything mean.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go get us another couple sodas here.
Okay. Yeah, so Always Be My Maybe on Netflix. I'm gonna research on my phone the comedian who wrote and plays in it. Always Be My Maybe. Ali Wong. She's really funny. She's appeared on Netflix before with stand-up. She's really funny. Okay, Lawnmower. We haven't seen Troy yet. I've seen Troy. I'm not a huge fan of the movie. But if you really think that Eric should see it, then we will watch it. We've been watching 007 mostly. I wasn't a fan because it's all glitz and glamour and a lot of fighting. And I just wasn't a fan of Troy. I just seemed so over the top to me. When I heard the budget and stuff, I was they had him wearing it looked like they had him wearing gold dust on him sometimes. Brad Pitt. I just am not a fan of Troy. Sorry.
I actually don't drink Ravenous Roush alcohol.
I like this A&W. I haven't had A&W root beer in a while.
Yeah, it's all the flavor of old-time sarsaparilla with none of the dust.
You know what? Honestly, Ravenous Roush, that's a really good question. Because if anyone should wear gold dust, Brad Pitt in Troy should. I just... It was too FI for me. It's very... Or maybe ESTP for me. I'm not sure.
What movie are you talking about?
Troy. Because Lawnmower asked if we watched it, and I said that I didn't like it, but that, if you wanted to watch it, that we absolutely could.
Rachel didn't like it. I probably wouldn't like it either.
I don't think you would.
Rachel's tastes are very similar to mine. You shall find there, according to your deserts, encouragement, consolation, fear, charm, all you demand, and perhaps all that glimpse of truth for which you have forgotten to ask. I'm sorry, these are sodas. You mad, bro? Not pop, so the answer is no.
It's root beer.
You can have a soda if you'd like, though.
Or a sody.
A soda's fine as well. Yeah, I feel somewhat low energy. I think I probably use another good night's sleep. Got a really good night's sleep last night, but I'll probably sleep really well tonight.
Why don't you sleep in the bedroom tonight and I'll sleep out here?
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like you to have the bed.
Okay. Do you find you can't sleep when I'm in the bed? Like last night,
I
was
why?
out all night. I don't even know how you were.
Good. I'm so glad. Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. Oh my gosh, when my baby sleeps, I'm a happy baby too.
Yeah, well, you gotta remember on those occasions when I do take half a clonny, I am out. Like there's no,
paying
any attention to whether you're wrestling around or whatever.
A door opening will still wake me up, even on a Klonopin. But anyway, good. I'm glad because I take up a lot of room. I sleep on my stomach.
I don't take up a lot of room.
No, you don't.
I'm used to being on the side in the corner.
Yeah, you're good. You're. It's not you. It's me.
I took a nap today.
Mm-hmm.
A short one.
We both did.
A short one. But, I don't know. I'm tired again.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think I'm going to wrap this up and
Kalani.
And go lie down. You went to Walmart today and I think I saw someone was stealing my energy. They're low vibe people, so how can I better block them? Somebody's stealing your energy, huh? How do they steal it? My energy seems to be linked mostly to sleep and food. I don't think it really has to do with people stealing. I mean, people can steal your energy. Like, I felt like my energy was stolen in my last relationship because I had to direct so much of it to conflict.
Oh my god. The universe was sending me so many signs during that too. Like, my equivalent to Eric's, Kimberly. So many signs. What a tornado.
I know you believe in souls in the afterlife. I don't know.
I'd like to. I've had 2 times when I found 4-leaf clovers thinking of my grandma Lapalosa. So I like to think about them being with us still.
When I die, I want to come back as a cat or an octopus.
Octopus. Those are very different. I mean, maybe not so different. I mean, the octopus is very shy, and cats can be too.
Why don't you come back as an octocat? It's
Solution.
a cat with octopus legs instead of cat legs.
See, this is what our country needs.
Mm-hmm.
Someone
Sort of
who
leadership
provides solutions.
Right. A real solution, Ravenous Rush.
And guess
you
what?
become octocat.
Can I?
It's a cross between Octomom and a cat.
That's funny. I wonder how she's doing.
Yeah, remember Octomom?
Can I tweeze?
I mean, some of the people who dislike are haters, and some of them are INTJs who think it's their job to tell me to differentiate between the videos they like and don't like by thumbs downing the ones they don't like or disagree with, you know.
Got him.
So some of it's just legitimate thumbs downs, and some of it is spite monkeys, haters, you know.
Hey, Curious Kyra.
It's hard to imagine a world where you accomplish anything without creating a few haters. Now, you can, but it requires a lot more, of carefulness and not a lot of what I'm trying to do, which is make a point, you know. Hi, Curious Kyra.
Hey, Running Fox. It's true. Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
I used to tell myself that a lot as a, tween. Haters gonna hate.
Thanks, Cloud. I didn't think you were the one. I never accused you of being the one who thumbs down.
Hey, girl, hey! I used to be known as that girl in town.
Look at that. Interesting. Laugh emojis on Facebook are so stressful. You don't know if they're being dicks or sincere. Depends if you were trying to make it'd be funny.
It can be difficult.
I love good or bad attention, so haters are cool to me. Well, I don't know what your experience with haters is, but mine is that they can be quite persistently spiteful, resistant to any kind of discussion. I hate when people post laugh emojis when I post about my grandma dying. Yeah, well.
That would be rude. Thanks, Ravenous Roush. That was him, I do.
These are what they call public displays of affection.
Yeah. We only do it a little bit.
Only a little bit.
Stop! We did stop. We did.
So Juniper Haas is an example of what you call a spite monkey. Like somebody who's a hater who's pretty persistent, comes back periodically. To talk about my current living situation for some reason, you know.
I got a call from your new job, Ravenous Roush, and they said that God's gonna be your boss.
Yeah. Of course, I'm not sure that line of reasoning is gonna really make any impact Juniper has. Because of course
He's on speed dial for me.
you know, the base season started up again, and regardless, whatever. It's like, I appreciate the opportunity to be integrated in my family. Here, as my dad gets into his 80s.
Yeah, it's really nice for me too.
He was 83 the other day. We had a nice birthday. Scheduled another one for him on Friday with Delilah, and it's funny. It's like, well, he's like kind of fighting it all the time because it's not his idea. Regardless, I feel bad for Juniper Hats. They must have no love in their family, you know.
For who?
For Juniper Hats, they must not
I
get.
didn't see it.
They must not get what it means to be part of a real team, you know. That actually care about each other and take care of each other and stuff, and fill various roles in various contexts. And
Yeah,
stuff,
I can
you know?
relate, honestly. I really can. I make my own team. I didn't see Juniper hats. I would have.
I don't think Juniper has this cloud. I think Juniper Hats is Juniper Hats. I don't know who exactly it is, but it's
Juniper
it's
hats.
not
is
anybody
Juniper
else in
hats.
here. It's just somebody who really is desperate to see themselves wound me in some way, which is what you call spite, you know, an urge to do harm without really any logic beyond it. Just I want to harm, and they don't really have any way to harm me because I'm so transparent and honest and, you know, fundamentally good. So they just bring spite and, you know, just attacks and stuff. My ex-wife's brother doesn't dislike me. But you'll notice that even so, I still put Juniper Hats on timeout, not ban them, because I like them coming in periodically and trying, again, to say, here's something you should be ashamed about, Eric. Every single time it backfires on them.
Oh my gosh. Email anthrax, no.
No emailed anthrax. This is, in addition to a live stream about the Democratic National Convention, concurrently a meeting of Anal Wreckage Anonymous. That means we're trying to put that behind us. No pun intended.
How do you know that, he's like 5'6"? Is that?
I don't want to fist fight anybody. I'm not interested in using physical force or physical violence at all. I would be fine with word fighting him, but, you know, and referencing the old joke, I'd be fighting an unarmed man. My bad, Cloud. My bad. Here we
He
go.
did
We're gonna
wash
button
it.
up.
That
This is super
new.
clean. It's just,
Yeah.
but he's right. I should have it buttoned all the way to the top, so I look fancy. He's right.
Oh, gosh.
There. Is that better? Oh yeah. I look a lot fancier now. Hello.
I can't.
I'm
No.
fancy.
I can't think of just like people who wear that are usually they're seen as stiff in movies.
C.S. Joseph's kingdom is falling down. What do you mean? I look Olmish? No. What I am is a technocrat. As you know, technocrats button their shirts all the way to the top.
Do you have a pocket protector too? Do you?
No. It could also be Cholo, true.
Oh no, you don't. You don't have a pocket.
What's delusional about what I'm saying, Juniper Hats? You haven't pointed to any delusion.
But what delusions?
That I could possibly run for president. This is America. I can run for president if I want.
Yeah.
Nothing delusional about that.
Does anyone remember when
your
D's Nuts
your
ran for
spite-
president?
Your spite, though, is the thing that actually is at issue here. Because, you know, there's a good reason to think that behind this is a lot of pain or anger, right? I mean, I haven't done anything to you, whoever you are.
Juniper Hats, you remind me of a scent from
Again,
Bath and Body
again,
Works.
Juniper Hats, go ahead and tell me what it is I'm saying that's delusional. Instead of just spewing more spiteful hate. Remember, I understand that behind your behavior is a bunch of pain and anger, but I'm not like you. I'm not fundamentally scared. I say what I mean and mean what I say. If it's delusional, you can articulate why and what is delusional about it. Because to any person who's listening, I sound extraordinarily sane.
It's so funny. And now Curious Kyra wants you to only button the one. I mean, there we go.
Buttons, schmuttons. Juniper Hats, you didn't answer any of my questions. You ignored what I said. You are a hateful spite monkey. If you were serious, you wanted to help me, then you'd answer my question. What am I being delusional about? You can't even come up with anything. That's how weak you are. I mean,
Point Eric.
Look, right? Because I asked you, okay, well, tell me how I'm delusional, and you can't come up with anything. I mean, that's some extreme weakness, Juniper Hats. Well, I'm not claiming that I'm not a unknown candidate. As of yet, unsupported by any party. I'm not claiming to be that. In fact, I'm advocating that, hey, let's try to launch a writing campaign here as a way to launch a real candidacy for 2024. I've acknowledged that I'm not running in a legitimate fashion for president in 2020. There's no indication of delusion anywhere. I sound like a remarkably well-informed and intelligent person. Eric is so delusional, he lives in his dad's house and thinks he's a man. So there. Right. Of course, the fact that I've already done all of that stuff that people are supposed to do, where I had a career, supported a family, was highly successful in my field, etc., seems irrelevant to Juniper Hats because he just wants to be a hater,
Yeah, because the truth is that, like, as long as you're of a certain age.
I mean, it's simply not relevant to the question of the presidency anyway. If you could say, well, Eric spent his whole life living in the back house of his parents' house, fine. Maybe that would be an argument. I don't know. I don't know if it would be a legitimate one or not, but at least would have some sort of link to truth. But instead, you ignore the fact that I came here in last September, around the same time Rachel did, for very good reasons. Mm-hmm. You say that I'm a crazy man who lives with my dad. I do, as I indicated, after a full lifetime of taking care of myself entirely and having my own housing and stuff, I came to support my dad in the caregiving of my mom. That's true. Who had advanced dementia. That's true. That doesn't make me a bad person. Doesn't make me unqualified for president. It's not something I'm ashamed of. You say you are unemployed. Not true. I'm a debate coach, and I'm also a professional typer person, and I actually get quite a bit of money doing this at this point. You say I fight with Rachel for views. I have no idea what you're talking about. You say I humiliate myself daily on here. No sane person would say that I'm humiliating myself. I'm making perfectly reasonable statements. You say I abuse weed and meth. I don't do meth. You're wrong. Say I'm a terrible debater. You're just, talk about delusional. So shame on you. And this is what spite looks like, everybody. This is what spite looks like. Complete detachment from reality, right? Incredibly weak. That's the key thing to remember about Juniper Hats, is that they're incredibly, incredibly weak. But it's not their fault. They're hurt, they're angry, they feel like maybe I've embarrassed them in the past, something like that, and so they just come and project in this really kind of raw, unthinking fashion. But, that's what I gotta deal with. I'm glad he came in because it's good for me to periodically remind everybody what the quote unquote enemy actually looks like. The enemy is not somebody who disagrees with you. The enemy is somebody who's spiteful, which means they're determined to do harm no matter what. They're actually in favor of the malevolent, the evil, that which is not good. So, look, I'm serious. I am quite certain that Juniper Hats is not Cloud. I think it's either Becky or possibly Queen's Weakness. I don't know. But that's fine. I can accept that. Look, I agree my lighting's not very good tonight, and so
Do
that's
you
just
want
how it
to
is.
turn it off and then use the windows?
We could. Let's just go with that. Alright, well, I guess for the technology problems here, I am probably just well enough suited to be done. We've got technology problems, and we've got, of course, dealing with the haters. Spite monkeys, as you might call them. I wouldn't call it demoralizing at all, but it is something that is a reality that we all have to remember, that there are instances where people are that damaged in some sense that they devote a huge portion of their identity to just attacking from the shadows somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
Kierkegaard explains the psychology of bullying and online trolling. I mean, the thing is, they're trying to bully me, right? But it's not really possible. Celebrated as the first true existentialist philosopher, Kierkegaard may have only lived a short life, but it was a deep one. In an immeasurably insightful entry from 1847, 34-year-old Kierkegaard observes a pervasive pathology of our fallible humanity, explaining the same basic psychology that lurks behind contemporary phenomena like bullying, trolling, and the general assault of the web's self-appointed critics, colloquially or rather appropriately known as haters. There's a form of envy of which I frequently have seen examples in which an individual tries to obtain something by bullying. If, for instance, I enter a place where many are gathered, it often happens that one or another right away takes up arms against me by beginning to laugh. Presumably he feels that he is being a tool of public opinion. But lo and behold, if I then make a casual remark to him, the same person becomes infinitely pliable and obliging. It essentially shows that he regards me as something great, maybe even greater than I am, but if he can't be admitted as a participant in my greatest, at least he will laugh at me. But as soon as he becomes a participant, as it were, he brags about my greatness. This is what comes of living in a petty community. So, I guess it is incredibly insightful, right? It's just brilliant. Kierkegaard is absolutely brilliant. The thing is, of course, in this context, we're talking. Thank you for that link, by the way. It's brilliant, beautiful. In this context, we're talking about somebody who can't be brought in, right? They can't be brought in because they come in too adversarial, and even though I make every attempt to communicate with them honestly, they don't want to do that. Yeah, Kierkegaard made that quote. It's a brilliant, absolutely great quote. Check that link, everybody. It's a great link, and it really does explain the psychology of it. I think it's better as any other explanation, which is, so like Juniper Hats feels as though he is excluded from those things about me that he admires most, and thus is necessarily going to try to bully me as a consequence. It won't work, but he's positioning things in a way where there's no way I can include him in it, so to speak, right? I can't make a friend of him. It doesn't work that way. Or her, whoever it is. If I could be any philosopher, who would I be? Eric Strauss. As a contemporary human being, I have the advantage of hearing all the genius stuff from before and doing something with it. Those other philosophers would have less data accessible than I do. I know, you mad bro. I know. But the thing is, I genuinely think it's an interesting topic. So I'm willing to afford that person that amount of impact. I get the fact that I'm feeding the troll, quote unquote, by talking about this phenomenon of spite monkeys. I could have banned the person a long time ago, hidden them from the channel. Instead, I left them, I keep putting them on timeout so they can come back and say stuff again. Why do I do that? Well, the fact is, I think it's an interesting topic, and it's like the ultimate challenge in meta rationalism. It's the Zen koan dropping ashes on the Buddha. There's this famous Zen koan where the Zen master asks his students, "What will you do if somebody comes in and they're smoking a cigarette and they keep ashing on the Buddha? They're not doing anything else. They're not causing any other problems or anything. They're just standing there disrespecting the Buddha." Well, of course, the Buddhist solution to this is there is no single solution, right? But a possible solution might be the Buddhist monk light a cigarette and join the man and begin ashing on the Buddha with him. That would be a typically Buddhist koan kind of response, right? This is one of those kind of circumstances. I claim to have a temple here where I'm subject to critique and am transparent and will face the truth, whatever it is, and not try to deny it, not try to avoid it. And yet, that does open me up to people who will exploit my fairness because of their spite to always attack me, right? So, how does one balance this sort of this conflict of principles, right? I value highly free expression, and I value highly making an environment that's open to my critics, even my harshest critics. And yet there are some people who are just wholly ill-intentioned. They don't want to critique me in any meaningful way. They can't be swayed by any of my responses to be convinced that they're wrong, and so forth. So what does one do? Well, eventually I'll probably hide them from the channel, and that's fine. But I still continue to find it useful to me and satisfying in some way for them to come in and attack again and again, because it typically allows me to respond to what's being said and I'm obviously going to, the person who's operating from a place of goodwill, honesty, transparency, etc., is obviously going to end up ahead in these exchanges, as I typically do. So, I mean, there's that too. But I also just sort of want to get to the base of the person. Like, what makes them so spiteful, and how can we get them to find the spot of honesty that can begin to alleviate spite, because they're consumed by it, I mean, it's not so much compassion for the person for me. I'm not trying to claim it's compassion. It's more curiosity, like, there's got to be some. I mean, I like Kierkegaard's explanation. Great. It's they feel like they can't own any part of what they admire, but You Mad Bro says, Eric, I have, because your thinking is so, how do I say universal? Have you seen your spirit guide or any other spiritual being that taught me some knowledge? I put it this way. When I quit drinking, I opened myself up to paying more attention to the realm of post-rational ethics. And I had, at that point, made a determination to morally and ethically try to walk a increasingly narrow path. So the thing about that is, by and large, I have, and in that sense, I feel satisfied. The thing is, I feel as though my magical thinking realm, in other words, my relationship with God, has had a subtle but profound impact on me. Which is to say, I'm not somebody who walks around praying every day, all day long, reading the Bible all day long, or any of that kind of stuff, right? It's more a practice of humility and understanding those aspects of the universe that you have to defer to some sort of magical thinking realm, some sort of magical thinking framework. And openness to that increases over time with humility, basically. But it's not as though it empowers your will. It just further narrows the path by not only constraining you from what you cannot do, but also starting to constrain you in what you must do. So, in that regard, the answer is yes. My life or my identity is spiritually informed by some spiritual experiences, but primarily that experience is one of a practice of humility and deferring things beyond the scope of human rationality to some external overseer of those matters. Does that answer your question? No, Cloud. It's a great critique of Nietzsche to say that Nietzsche needs to stop thinking so deeply and start thinking clearly. If you think it applies to me, you don't understand the distinction between deep and clear. I think extremely clearly. And yeah, sometimes I think deeply, and it depends, but what I always do is think clearly. I may not express things in ways that you understand exactly, but I'm learning that's true for most of the population. It's something that's come to me late and slowly, that there are a lot of times when I am talking in ways that I think are perfectly straightforward, that people don't understand what I'm talking about because the terms I use that are either specialized terms, or because of just I talk too fast, or there's a lot of language that's multisyllabic, so to speak. The issue there is, as a TI user, I tend to prioritize what's TI consistent, and it means I like to have precision with my language, and sometimes there are words that are the right word from a TI perspective, and alternatives are not really the right word. They're somewhat slightly off, but it would help me to be more attentive to the ability and willingness and ease with which my audience can hear what I'm saying and know what I mean. You know, I want you to hear what I'm saying and know what I mean. You're a pagan? What's a pagan? See, the thing is, there's a whole population of people who basically feel as though they don't need to have any real decision about magical thinking stuff. Like, well, I just won't include it in my life. I won't resolve those questions meaningfully one way or the other, or address them or fixate on them, and I'll just go about my life figuring things are mostly non-magical. But I think that's denying half of reality ultimately. You know, we are all slaves to who we are, and that's just not going to change fundamentally. So it means to have a personality. However, by understanding who we are better, we can manifest a more optimal version of ourselves. And we can do that in a number of ways. We can become more skilled at something with practice. We can become more moral with, I guess you'd say, spiritual work and or ethical work. So, sort of cognition of various sorts that cause one to prioritize those elements more than you might naturally do so. And so, you know, it's a matter of not so much of trying to figure out, like, well, to optimize, I need to become a master of my fourth function or something. No. It's like, to optimize, you need to accept the limitations of who you are and try to better that a little bit, you know? Realize who you are, where your limitations are, and set reasonable expectations for yourself. Like,
That's how I used to wear mine.
so the thing is, having a clear understanding of one's place in the spiritual, moral, theistic kind of realm of stuff, it allows you to delegate a lot of problematic issues to a set understanding that these things that literally cannot be dealt with by a reason because they're positive indications rather than negative prohibitions or something, at least I can treat them as though they've been resolved. I'm pretty preppy. I got on my Sperry Docksiders, topsiders. They're my shoes. I'm wearing them without any socks because I'm that preppy. People say yes to God without proof. Well, if you have proof, then it's not God you're talking about. I mean, the thing about God is it's a positive moral indication frame thing, and as a consequence, it's holistic, not reducible. not all things that one should embrace in life ought to be embraced because you can reducibly establish them. The other thing is to remember is that faith or practicing magical thinking is a behavior, not an affirmation. You don't have to agree with any given position on God in order to engage in that kind of magical thinking. Who says there isn't proof of God? Well, there are multiple proofs of God, but none of them are considered adequate. Even my best proof of God that I came up with, I don't consider adequate. I mean, I would say it's contraindicated by it's contraindicated by the nature of God. If God can be understood by humans, then he's subsumed by humans, and he's clearly not. Well, no, I should say magical thinking, Lawnmower. It's time for us to reclaim the expression. Life, the world, has magical aspects to it. God is among those. He is not a logical aspect of the universe. You cannot deductively establish him. The best proof I have requires us to accept a premise that, in fact, all superpositions are collapsed by observation. Observation is an unmeasured force that can be measured but currently isn't measured, and that God, in fact, explains why things occur and exist and continue even when they're not being observed by a sentient being. So I want to recapture that language. I want to reclaim it from the atheists. Their rejection categorically of anything that is holistically true rather than deductively true is itself my target. Why do you think we can't understand God? Who says we couldn't? I think we can understand godliness to some extent, but what I'm saying is if we could define God, constrain him within the scope of our language, then he would be subsumed by language and thus wouldn't be God. And this is the thing. If you talk to people who engage in faith-based behaviors, most of them will say something like what Kyra says. I've seen many signs that God has gifted me, and this in turn has strengthened my faith in him. I too have seen many signs that God is concerned with my life for some reason. I often refer to it as the slabs, which I think of as kind of the Holy Spirit. But isn't it arrogant to assume we can't define God just as it is arrogant to say we can? I didn't say it was arrogant to say we could define God. I said it's contraindicated definitionally. God is actually ineffable, right? We have a word for it. To the extent that we want to constrain him definitionally, it's constrained by that adjective, which precludes us from gaining any further particulars knowledge about him. We might all have clear conclusions about it, and those conclusions might be accurate, but that doesn't mean they're deductively so. Eric, would you ever consider chatting with me? I hate typing, but I think I could learn something from you. Sure, I'll chat with you. If you use Google Calendar, you could invite me to an event. Figure a time when you want to talk to me. Tomorrow I got to work at 10, and I got another thing at 4 tomorrow. So that's my schedule tomorrow. If you want to invite me, that's my time, LA time. If you want to invite me to something with calendar, then I'll check that. Alright, I'm tired now. I'm going to go to bed. It's been not a terribly long day, but somehow a tiring one. I'm not quite sure why. Couldn't it be possible to possess the power of God? And shouldn't we try? It's a weird question. I think that's what got Satan in trouble. It's the whole idea of engaging meaningfully with God for me is one of an acknowledgement of the limits of the limits of my intuition, the limits of my intelligence, the limits of my thinking. That there's some things that cannot be resolved um, by a single person. You know, no matter how much full acidly they apply themselves to it. All right, thanks for being here. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. I am suddenly exhausted.